Yo, 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 yo. What it do? What it be, y'all? It's your boy, Agent ANT, coming to y'all with a NBA 2K20 commentary. And the NBA is shooting to come back at the end of the month, pending some minor details to be worked out. But all signs kind of point to the NBA coming back on June 30th, kind of starting to go to Orlando and get, practice and training and all that started. But there is a minor wrench in their plans, just like there's been a wrench in the NBA season since it started. I mean, the death of Kobe Bryant was definitely a huge blow to the basketball community and just, to the world in general. I mean, he was a good man. And that kind of was the start of what's been one of the most tumultuous NBA seasons I can recall. I mean, starting with the death of Kobe Bryant and everybody that was on the helicopter, including his daughter and all the others. Then right after that, not even a few months, I think even a month after that, we had the Rudy Gobert kind of mock the global pandemic, or the growing global pandemic at the time, COVID-19, and he touched all the microphones, very funny. Within a week, he was diagnosed with COVID-19. As was Donovan Mitchell and a couple other Jazz players, and a couple other NBA players got it. And that's when people really started to take COVID seriously and the coronavirus and all that. And that hysteria kind of took over the international news cycle, I should say. But that with that started the whole social distancing, and that combined with the risk and health. Hundreds of thousands of Americans died supposedly from COVID-19. I don't know how accurate the numbers are. You don't really know what to believe anymore when it comes to that. They never really had a plan, and they never really had they didn't really have shit figured out. And by they, I mean the American government. So, I mean, other places kind of were cool. They had no problems with it, but here in America, no, we might even have round 2 coming up with all these protests, but that remains to be seen. It's been at least a week or two since, the first protests started, and there hasn't been a spike, so we'll see. But yeah, that the NBA, Rudy Gobert spreading it was really like the first one. I mean, a couple others got it, like Tom Hanks and a couple other celebrities got diagnosed, but for the most part, that's when it all started. It was when athletes started to get, diagnosed with it. That's when everybody kind of started to take it serious. And then the NBA kind of shut down the season till further notice. We didn't know if they were coming back. Now they've been talking about coming back at the end of the month. But there's just, one more wrenching thing, and that is Kyrie Irving. And I'm not going to sit here and say that Kyrie Irving doesn't have a point, because apparently, from what I've been able to research and read, Kyrie's pretty much calling bullshit on the NBA trying to come back right now. I think he's thinking that the NBA is trying to be a distraction to everything that's going on right now, which in a sense, it would and could be. However, it's really how the NBA goes about it. If the NBA, comes back and tells players, you can't protest. Because like the NBA was more strict than the NFL. Really, you didn't see a lot of players, kneel for the national anthem or anything like that. I don't even think maybe LeBron did. I don't even think LeBron did. But now we see Kyrie Irving trying to say, hey, this is a little fishy. I think those were his exact words. This is fishy. This, they're trying to distract from the protests of systemic racism, and that's bullshit. Which, there's a point there, but it's talk. There's no action behind it, and a lot of people are saying, okay, you have a point, now what? Which, Kyrie's always kind of been outspoken on, biggest example is the flat earth thing. He caught criticism for that, and that's why he's catching criticism now, because, he had, flat earth theory is just ludicrous. It's even less believable than the hollow earth theory. So there's that, in my opinion. But that didn't, him saying he believed the earth was flat and then coming out and saying, well, maybe not. Maybe I was just trolling or this and that. I don't know. But that and this whole thing, and he's like, oh, well, we should boycott. No one should show up to Orlando. First of all, Kyrie was supposed to go to Orlando. He wasn't supposed to play. I think he's still hurt, him and KD, but the Nets are in the playoffs, which, do they have a chance at making the finals? Probably not without KD and Kyrie, but, they're in there, and Kyrie was supposed to go and lend moral support or something like that, but he changed his mind, and now he's on this whole crusade to boycott, but the whole thing is it hasn't really picked up static or any traction besides the fact that, a lot of people are like, well, why? You get paid enough, it's the whole, you guys are, you guys make a lot of money. Why are you guys unhappy? But literally the people that, if they weren't athletes, would people be cheering for them? Would you still look at them in the same light? So there's that whole dynamic that Kyrie is probably feeling and thinking about, which he, by all means, he has a valid point. Utah fans, for example, just, they always get in trouble. There's always a Utah Jazz fan that says a racial slur. There was one, I think, a while back that said something to like Russell Westbrook or something. He's banned for life. So it's not like it doesn't exist within, this just the stadium atmosphere, So, there's definitely stuff that needs to be talked about, but number one, I don't think Kyrie was the best person to lead it. He could have told someone about this, and maybe they were on his side and presented it better. And I've heard Avery Bradley's kind of, pushing for the boycott too, but I don't really know. We'll see how much traction it gets within, the coming weeks leading up to, the NBA going to Orlando and all the players flying out there getting ready to train. But, one thing that could make him lead traction is actually his biggest detractor, and that's Kendrick Perkins. Kendrick Perkins pretty much blamed Kyrie for taking up the news cycle, and a little girl, I guess, was killed by police in Cleveland, and it didn't get enough media attention, I guess, because Kendrick Perkins says Kyrie Irving wanted to make himself the center of attention, which is completely unfair. It's unfounded. It's, that's absolutely insane and absolutely irresponsible for Kendrick Perkins to be a media personality or even a reporter, try to be a reporter and say, unfounded, slanderous things like that, especially, putting the death of a little girl and why she didn't get enough media attention on Kyrie Irving's, plate, trying to make it seem like it's his fault, but so yeah, that Kendrick Perkins doesn't have a point. He kind of does, because one of his points is that Kyrie doesn't really have a plan, which on some reports that I've heard, he doesn't. All he's saying is that they need to unite and form their own league and, this and that, but there's no real, he doesn't have a blueprint for it. He's just throwing ideas out there and seeing what sticks and what somebody's down for. That's not, it's cool to get those ideas out there, but that it needs to have real discussion and real action behind it. You want to boycott, resign, do what Colin Kaepernick did, leave, sit out, I don't know. People giving up their careers all the time for bigger causes, but until Kyrie actually puts some effort behind his words and action to actually boycott and start talking to investors about starting your own league, no one's gonna take you seriously, But that's kind of that's the only wrench. Other than that, the NBA is supposed to be coming back. But like I said, instead of having all 30 teams come back and resume play, the NBA is going to have only 22 teams come back and play a few regular season games. So 6 teams that were within playoff reach still have a chance to try and get in. But the Hornets, Bills, Knicks, Pistons, Hawks, Cavs, Timberwolves, and the Warriors won't be invited to Orlando at all. Their seasons are over. We won't see them for the rest of the season if we have it the rest of the season. So the Blazers, Pelicans, Kings, Spurs, and Wizards all have a chance to get into the playoffs. So here's kind of how I see each conference's final seeding is going to be, and I'll probably do another video on how I see the playoffs, playoff predictions and, the finals and all that. But let's start with how I see the East's final seeding shaking out. So I really don't see Milwaukee losing their 1 seed. That's not going to change. I think they're just too good of a team right now, especially with Giannis and all the shooters surrounding him. I can see Boston potentially getting the 2 seed over Toronto, and maybe this is the reset the 76ers needed to find their groove. So I can see them moving up to the 5th seed, but other than that, I don't see any changes being made to the top 6 in the East. But I think the Pelicans have probably the best chance to knock off the Magic and be that sneaky A seed in the East. So the East first round will probably be the Bucks versus the Pelicans. Hopefully, maybe. I don't know if they knock off the Magic, like I said. But Celtics will probably play the Nets. The Raptors will play the Sixers. And the Miami Heat will play Indy. So that's kind of how I see the East shaking out. And then out West, I think, the Lakers and the Clippers are probably going to duke it out for the 1 and 2 seeds. But I think if Houston can get their shit together, they could probably move up, maybe a seed or 2, maybe. I don't know. And the Pelicans were the sneaky team in the East that I could see kind of sneaking in at the last minute. But I can also see the Spurs in the West somehow finding a way to knock out the Grizzlies and getting that 8th seed. So the West will probably be a team from LA versus the Spurs, and then the other team from LA will play Dallas, and then I think Denver will play OKC, and the Jazz and the Rockets will have, if this really happens like this, then that's going to be a 7-game series. If Donovan Mitchell and Rudy Gobert are cleared to play and all that, and James Harden's, it's going to be a 7-game series in my opinion. But that's just wishful thinking. Like, Ja Morant, he's good, but I don't think the Grizzlies have the team to beat the Spurs. They don't have the coaching. They don't have, the chemistry yet. Is Ja Morant going to be a threat in the coming years? Oh, absolutely. But, I'm rooting for Milwaukee and Philly to kind of make it to the East Finals and maybe see one of them in the finals. And then, I want Denver or Houston to somehow make it out the West. But realistically, I know it's going to be the Lakers or the Clippers. But Denver's definitely a sleeper team in my opinion. Just hometown squad. But it's going to be interesting to see how the end of the season plays out. If we have an end of the season, it's going to be interesting to see the NBA come back in the midst of a pandemic and how they handle, players if they want to kind of protest social injustice on the court or, before games, during national anthems, how they handle that. They're going to be playing in like near empty arenas, I've heard, or empty arenas. So that's going to be an interesting thing to see. Crazy. And really, they've been talking about experimenting with a 2-game play-in series for, if two teams are tied for the 8th seed. But that's an interesting concept that I would be, I'll wait to see it in action before I give my final judgments. But those are my predictions on how the NBA playoffs are going to look. And when the regular season ends, I'll come back and see how wrong or right I was and make my playoff predictions before the first round starts or something. But let me know in the comments your thoughts on the NBA coming back, who you think will make the playoffs. Like, subscribe, and ring the damn bell so you don't miss none of the hot content I got dropping soon. So stay tuned. It's been your boy, Agent 8 and T, repping the Spell Block Agency. Be safe. Don't get smoked. I'm out. Peace.